Welcome to Wednesday. I'm going to talk today about another case that I've done. It was a while ago, quite a while ago. Um, a really wealthy family here in the area had asked me to come out to their house. They were having trouble with a couple of spirits. The man owns a couple of very successful businesses and cleared their house, and they kept in touch, every now and then checking to make sure, like a lot of you do, which is great. They were originally from Long Island, New York, and their parents and their friends and their relatives all were still in that area. They were the only ones that had moved out here for business. Um, the wife called me after I had done her house, maybe a few years after I'd done her house, and she said that she was concerned. Her parents were in a very posh retirement village, nursing home, spa, and dad had had a stroke and was moved to the nursing section. And 4 months later, mom was in the nursing section also. Now, this place was like a five-star hotel. It was amazing. It was so luxurious. And when they first got there, it was like a little condo, and then it was progressive. So if something happened, they moved up to nursing, and then skilled nursing, and what have you. So after mom got sick and moved to the nursing facility too, they actually put mom and dad in the same room. It was a suite. And I have to tell you, that's been the only nursing home I have ever found that has suites in it. So they were in the suite together, and it was crazy. Two months after mom moved in and they were in the same room, dad died. And so the nursing home called uh, the lady who I did work for and said, your dad's been dead now for 2.5, 3 weeks, and I we moved your mom into her own suite. You were here when we did that because they had stayed up there for about a week after the funeral of dad and got mom, rearranged in her new suite, a single suite. And it was interesting because it was on in the same wing that their double suite had been, almost across the hall, as a matter of fact. And when dad died, this place did the same thing that a lot of the nursing homes do. The family really didn't care for the furniture back, and there was like a storage area at the end of this particular hallway that they moved the extra furniture and in case somebody moved in and needed it and whatever. So after 2 weeks, they went into mom's room. The nurse had gone into mom's room the following morning, and here the dresser that belonged to the father was actually in the mom's room. Somehow it had gotten from the storage area to mom's room. And the gal said, Mom's so frail and she's so small, and this dresser weighs a ton. We don't understand how she could have possibly moved it. And they could see the nurse's station at the end of the hall, but it was a ways off, but they could still see it. There were aides, there were nurses, there were cameras, mirrors up on the ceilings, to keep an eye on everybody. And nobody ever saw mom get out of bed or move this dresser. And they said, something has to be done. You're going to have to come back here and talk to your mom because this has happened like 4 times now. We don't understand how the furniture is getting moved into her room. sometimes is put in a place where we can't even get to her bed. It's blocking everything. And the one time it was pushed against the door, so they had a hard time even getting in. And it was just one of these crazy things where nobody could understand what was happening. So she said, "Do you think that maybe Dad hasn't crossed over and that he's doing this?" I said, "I don't understand why." I says, I thought everything was taken care of, that there was really no issue." And she said, "We don't understand what's going on." And I says, "Well, I don't know what's going on. I'm in Cleveland. She's on Long Island." I said, "What you're going to have to do is have one of your relatives go to Mom's room and make a call from there. Let me see if something's going on." And it took about 2 days, and one of the relatives called me and said, "I am in Mrs. So and so's room." And sure enough, there was definitely a male ghost in the room, an older guy. And so I called up the lady and I says, "Well, there's a man in the room and this is what he looks like." And I explained what he looked like, and she said, "That's my father." And I said, "Well, maybe he was so close to your mom, he's waiting for your mom. That's a possibility." I said, "I don't know why else he wouldn't have crossed over." And for those of you that have heard me at events and speaking, nursing homes are one of the busiest places for earthbound spirits. The amount of men, earthbound spirits in nursing homes is phenomenal. They're waiting for their wives. We live longer than men, so there's more live women in nursing homes than there are men. But the amount of men waiting is pretty phenomenal. And all joking aside, I have to be honest, I've never seen a woman waiting for a man in a nursing home, but that's another story. So she said, "What are we going to do?" And I says, "Well, I don't know what you're going to do." I says, "I'm not going to do anything." And she said, "What should I do?" I said, "I don't think the nursing home will let you smudge the room, and would you want to do that to your father?" I said, "How close?" I said, "How ill is your mother?" She said, "She's very sick." She says, "But we don't expect anything to happen to her for a while yet. We're hoping not." She said, "Come on." She says, "Can you go to New York with us? We'll fly up, stay overnight, and see if you can take care of this." I said, "Okay." So now in the meantime, this is really crazy. 2 aides and a nurse quit because they were so spooked by this furniture moving down the hallway that nobody ever sees. And they said, "No, no, 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 no." They just couldn't take it anymore. So they quit. And they did tell, she said, "I want to get up there." She said they're going to wait for a couple of days, and they called some kind of like a Goodwill or a Salvation Army. They were going to come and get that furniture, and they figured if it wasn't there, it couldn't be, put into the mom's bedroom. And the daughter said, I need to know what the story is." And I said, "I agree. I think you should find out too." So go up to New York, and this place, I have been in some very, very, very fancy hotels, and this place could compare to anything you've seen. It was amazing. And everybody inside, um, it was almost like there was at least one person taking care of two of the people that were patients there. The ratio was unbelievable, which is not really common. And so go there and get into the room, and Dad is there. Now, it's interesting. Mom was sort of in and out of it, but she really never saw him. And I told the daughter and the son in law, he's standing right over there. and they, of course, couldn't see anything. So I said to him, and for this, I'll just call him Mr. Smith. I says, Mr. Smith, why? How are you doing this? How are you getting this dresser down here? And it was a huge, very bulky piece of furniture. I mean, the thing must have weighed a ton. And I said, how are you moving this? And how are you doing it that nobody is seeing you? And he started laughing and he said, well, I was an engineer when I was alive and a darn good one. He said, it's all leverage. He said, it's not that big of a deal. And I said, but there's cameras. Nobody saw anything. He said, timing, timing, timing. He said, and in all honesty, all I have to do is stand close to one of those cameras and they don't work, which we know is true because their energy can really mess up anything electronic, which phones, computers, cameras. And so that's how he was doing it. And I said, what was the big deal? Why does she have to have this dresser here? I said, her bedroom's, this is beautiful what she has here. Your piece doesn't fit in here at all. He said, it's not the dresser, it's what's in the dresser. I said, what's in the dresser? He said, yes. He said, she has always been sicker than me. Even as we got older, my wife had more things happen to her than happened to me. And I really thought that I would outlive her. And it didn't turn out that way. And he said, I had a stroke and can't talk, and next thing I'm dead. And he said, there are 2 compartments in this dresser, secret compartments that the family has to know about. And I said, why did you hide stuff in these compartments? And he said, you know, we were raised. We went through bad times when we were kids, depressions. He said, you always squirreled something away somewhere that if you needed it, you had it. He said, and I really thought that there wouldn't be any problems. He thought that I would, I would be able to get it and give it to whoever I wanted to it, once Mrs. Smith died. So he showed me where the compartments were in the dresser, and it took a little finagling to get the one open. But there inside the one, and it's funny the way things work. As soon as this little compartment opened, I wasn't pushed out of the way, but they got in front of me to see what was in it. And of course, none of my business, I backed up. But it did look like maybe $20 gold pieces. Pretty good handful of them in there. But again, they didn't share that information with me. So found the other compartment, and it was a bigger compartment, and there was paperwork. And the daughter is her husband are looking over this paperwork, and it was not in English, but what I could see were like maybe an account number, and I think what it was a secret account out of the country that obviously had some value to it. I don't know what. And, you know, she said to her husband, she says, how am I supposed to figure out what this is? So Dad explained it. He says, tell her that all the information is there. There's a number that she has to use. Her name is on it, her social security number they have. And I gave that, and she has the right to go to that account and do whatever with it, whatever she wants. And yes, it is out of the country. So what it was, again, I do not know exactly what it was, but they were real happy about it. And Dad said he would cross over at that point because at that point they were going to keep a Quincy charm on Mom. And with him being earthbound, he wouldn't be able to get close to her. So I told him, I says, if you go to the light, you can come back and be with her, but you can't stay close to her while she's got the necklace on. And he said, okay. And he said, she called me. My daughter called me after you had done her house and told me what was going on and how it affected the kids. And my children are adults. He said, I try not to butt into their lives. He said, but I really thought she was crazy. And I'm thinking to myself, what has she gotten herself into? And of course, he said, it seemed like after you were at their house, everything was fine. The kids weren't sick anymore. And I start thinking, well, maybe. And then he said, no, I couldn't believe it was true. He said, but when my daughter in law came in here and called you, I thought, well, maybe there is something to it. He says, and actually, I'm very grateful that you do what you do because I don't know where this stuff would have ended up in. He said, now they can give the dresser to Goodwill. He said, and that's fine with me. He says, I just needed to get the valuables out of it first. Actually, mom died about 3 months after that, and the daughter had called me. We all came back to this area, and she had told me that mom died, called and told me, and that everything seemed to be good. Um, she did call though, and she said, "We have mom's furniture. That do you think there's stuff hidden in there?" I said, "I don't think your mother hid anything." I said, "I'm pretty sure she didn't." I said, "Your father would have said something if he knew." And she said, "Okay." And that pretty much took care of that. This is since then, and it's happened in maybe 4 or 5 different nursing homes. Doesn't happen often, but I will get a call from maybe the nurse that's in charge, the charge nurse, or actually got a call from one of the doctors that visits the nursing home. And I had done some work for him, and he said, something's going on in this nursing home. And he said which one it was. He said, furniture's being moved at night, and we don't understand how that's happening. And I just had to think to myself, if I hadn't have seen it and heard it with my own eyes, I would have questioned it also. I know ghosts can move things, but they usually move paperwork, money, keys, remotes, earrings, jewelry, personal products, sometimes clothes. To move a dresser, and that took a lot of energy to do. And I have to admit, thinking back, it was probably around a full moon because they would have had more energy. He would have had more energy then anyway. But his energy was so intent because he was so worried about the valuables that I think it was like these people, if their kid gets stuck under a car, they can lift the car up and pull the kid out. I think it was almost something like that. So it's really interesting sometimes, and this is how I learn things. Doing something for the first time that I've never seen before, and then I can apply it to something else. Because after that, when another nursing home called and said somebody, the furniture was being moved, at least I could refer back to what I did. Okay, so that is that for today. Next week is going to be a little bit different. It is going to be a case, but this gal wrote it all out for me. She says, you probably don't remember, and this is what happened. And so, what I'm going to do is read to you next week what she wrote and then add to it what I remember from it. Sometimes things get blurry and I don't remember exactly what happened where. So it was nice that she wrote that out. I want to let everybody know there is a full moon on this Saturday, the 28th. And so if you have any activity in your house or if you had any earthbounds in your house, this would be the week you'd know. On April 10th, I'll be at Antlers Hotel in Lorraine. It's finally open. I'm so happy we can do an event. And it'll be social distancing and masks, and it's a limited but go to the website. For those of you that are Coast to Coast fans, I will be on with George on Thursday, April 8th, your time zone whenever Coast to Coast plays. And the next Zoom will be on April 16th. So everybody have a good week. It looks like our weather has broke. It looks like it's pretty nice out now. So have a good week and catch you next time.